You know another thing here. Sorry, Chamberlain. Because we have to put some sense in this.
Yeah.
If we don't have money,
Yeah.
and you want this same amount of ministers,
Yeah.
and you say not all of them will have portfolios, but you're still keeping some of them without portfolios.
Yeah.
Is it that those with portfolios will earn more than those without portfolios? Because this is all, it boils down to money. And it boils down to what Pastor Tunde Bakare did say yesterday. Well, the full interview will be coming on Question Time on Thursday. He did say, he was asking the question of going back to the Constitution. Because if we know that we have a constitutional provision that says we must get 36 and we can't keep the 36, why don't we revisit the Constitution instead of having that 36 and have more that won't have portfolios, but you still will be paying them?
Well, let's look at it from this point. I solely agree with you, because that's what someone calls sinecure. You are being paid for doing little or doing nothing, and yet you are a minister. That is the situation we have always found ourselves. Even the so-called ministers of state. Somebody is Minister of State 1, Minister of State 2, Minister of State 3. You have 3 ministers in just one Ministry of Defense. Somebody is in charge of army, and you still have the chief of army staff. You have the chief of defense, whatever. You have so many other persons. Somebody was in. Apparently, it is just a way of creating portfolios that never existed anywhere. That's the truth. And one thing that President Buhari has done is to tell us the truth, that apparently Nigerians have been deceived for so long by someone claiming that somebody was a minister of state. Apparently, minister of state means a minister without portfolio. Even if you are called a minister of state today, it does not. But then coming to your question, I quite agree with you. Because the moment you are appointed a minister, you declare your asset like every other person, and you are sworn in, apparently you are entitled to the salary that you are supposed to draw. And ask me one question. The problem is this. At the end of a year, maybe perhaps a minister in Nigeria earns about 2 million naira, 2 million something. But the allowances are as much as 12 million, if not more. So when you look at all of this together, allowances for what? For doing what? These are areas that we need to look at. And agree with you totally that without revisiting the Constitution, then we can't get ourselves out of this. Left for President Buhari, reading his body language, he will have preferred a situation that he won't even have as much as 18 ministers. But as it is, the conscience says he should have it. It means all of us now, we need to work together, especially the executive must be able to sponsor a bill to the National Assembly, asking that this area, look, at the point when we have problem with the election tribunals and the days within which you dispense matters, you determine matters, it was quite fast and easy for us to arrive at a consensus to amend the Constitution. So I think in this kind of a situation, for a National Assembly that is people-oriented, that really love us as a people, and given the problem that we have on ground, they shouldn't find it difficult to have a bill done for all this area of the Constitution to be amended.
You know, one wonders, is it just about that bill? Because if the current reality, as the president has put it, is that we have got a challenge. If the federal government is having to bail our states, if the funds coming to the states is, at the federal level, it's also dwindling, some of the infrastructure crying out for challenge, not appointing portfolios to these ministers will also mean ministries will be merged, which is what he has said. And so if that's going to be the case, will a bill just solve that matter? Because
no. The number one problem is the Constitution has foisted on us and on the president a situation whereby there must be a minimum of 37 ministers. Because all this, we need to redress that. And redressing it is by sponsoring
I get that part. That would be on the one hand, because the agitation for states will always be there. Because shouldn't we have a holistic look at what the challenge is and address it from the roots rather than just send one bill? Well, another problem pops up, you send another bill.
Fear of Chamberlain, so many things to look at. Even when you look at the National Assembly, is it not over bloated? Is it not bogus? Can't we make do with, if we have problems, can't we solve our problems? Can't we make do with part-time legislators in Nigeria? Can't we have people that, in those days, while we were growing up, I can tell you the truth, that the likes of Debo Akande of this world, Abraham Adesanya and co., they will go to court in the morning and go to the National Assembly in the evening and do their job. They were on part-time. So why can't we just go back to that kind of a system that worked? And they sponsored better bills, they did better jobs than what we are having now. There is docility. If you look at the National Assembly from the screen, and in most cases, you find out that the seats are even empty. Because someone somewhere has been told that all you need to account for is 180 attendance in a particular period of time. Yeah, so when you look at all of this added together,
the seats are meant to contain much more than the representatives.
Yeah,
so maybe that's why.
So when you look at all of this together, it will mean that holistically, like rightly suggested, we need to look at it. The man is really keen about cutting costs, and without this cost, like I said earlier, like Professor Anya said sometimes ago, he said 70% of our revenue is being spent on all of this. And about another 10% is being siphoned one way or the other. Then we have 20 spent on the people. Then how can we come out of the woods? So if you have all of this added together, it means that we need to look at our system holistically. And besides, but I have a problem, and I've always said this, and I'm going to repeat it here again. Our politicians, will they allow things to work the way it is? When it comes to power, when it comes to money, an average politician doesn't want to let go.
Isn't the president there to change this kind of things?
The problem is that the president is the leader of the executive arm. Apparently, he's not going to dictate to the legislative arm on how they run their affairs. So in that wise, except you have people who just deliberately say, oh, look, this country is facing a lot of crisis and we need to help them out of their problems. Not until then we won't get out of the woods.
Do you think that the national conference, the concluded 2014 national conference report can help us?
Well, unfortunately, I don't know what the report of the national conference looks like, because somebody said this was the report and another person said, no, that is the distorted report. So nobody even knows which one was the report. We have distortions. Is it like the PIB now? I don't know. But apparently we have distortions. That's the truth. And look, and I keep saying one thing. We've had these our distinguished senators and honorable members for so long. Look at the night conscience that we have had in this country. Look at them. Refine them. Look, it is out of docility for even us as a country, the National Assembly, to be sponsored, to be asking for what has National Conference got to do with this? You are representing me in the National Assembly. Go and make law for me. I've yielded that power to you. I've given you that mandate. Go and represent me. Talking about National Conference, yes, for those who are asking for it, I'm not against you. But the truth must be said. You already have representative. Let them make law for us. Let them look at the conscience that we have had in this country, the little thing, the march passing, and so whatnot, the 1979. Look at the defects. Bring all of this together and get out something that can move us of the world.
Because the document you have, that's the Nigerian constitution, is something that must be
revisited. It has to, in fact,
not cast in stone.
Because a lot of illogical reasoning in that. If you say it's 36 and yesterday we had Bismarck Rawani on the news at 10 and we're looking at what the president said.
I'm not looking at 36, I will call it 37.
Oh, sorry.
My position is 37.
37 because constitutionally it's supposed to be 37 because the FCT has a statehood. Yes. But for the time being now you're talking about the National Assembly. How fast do you think that the National Assembly can handle this if truly we are in a dire strait now as to how to fix this, knowing full well that we also don't have the financial muscle to carry on with what we already have in the Constitution?
Well, number one, it depends more on the willpower.
It goes back to the willpower.
Yes, it goes back to willpower. Now I am the Senate President. The question will be, in future, what will I love to be known for? What will I love to be remembered for? I need to do something. I ask people, you want to become a judge, you don't want to make a mark. You want to become a lawyer, you don't want to make a mark. You want to become a Senate President, you don't want to make a mark. You want to become the Speaker of the House of Representatives, you don't want to make a mark. If truly you want to make a mark, you must do something that is unusual. Do things the way it has never been done before, with a view for a positive impact on the people. So if you have that kind of a seal and willpower in the leadership of the National Assembly, these things are not difficult. Because apparently it's about, but then I have a problem. In the whole of United States of America, they have just 21 committees in their assembly so-called. In Nigeria, we have 92 committees. What are we doing with all of this?
In the
So
Congress.
it will mean that for a House of Representatives that is having as much as 92 committees, moribund, somebody will serve in 4 or 5 committees, the same person, and he will be drawing money. Then it means we are not yet out of the wood. It means that our problem should be located to some of these arms of government. And above all, the legislative arm has more to bear than every other person.
So in other words, this is what many say we've been running away from all these years in this country. And now it stares us in the face.
That's the truth.
They need to revisit all of this because who knows, in the coming days, when the economic team assume responsibility, many will expect them to give us a breakdown in terms of our resources, what exactly
Are we going to have another economic team again?
The Minister of Finance, the DMO, all these offices, they're part of the team. I think the Vice President is heading that.
Unlike the
There won't be coordinating ministers.
The VP says there will be no such thing. So I think he's heading that, and so he will be talking to Nigerians.
My plea, fear to our elected representative is, for once, look at us as people. Look at the nation as a country that deserves your pity. And if the president is looking at us and feeling that, look, we need to cut costs, the National Assembly too should look at it. If this thing percolates down and we look at it from
the RMAFC, you mean? Revenue mobilization.
Revenue mobilization.
Right.
So all of these added together, if we all come together, I think we can make a better country out of what we have now.
All right, Mr. Adekunle, thank you very much indeed for coming on this morning. And we'd also like to know what you think of this matter, but we still have one more lap to go today on the program. Don't go away yet.